A very good afternoon, Team Zimbabwe. Masquera say, Masquera say, Masquera say. I am back yet again with another issue, a very important issue here, live on Africa and Beyond the Television Network. We all know that Douglas Monzora, today, the 8th of May, was in court. This is a constitutional court challenge case where he was challenging the delimitation report from Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, and he was also trying to stop the 2023 elections. And he cited several reasons, and in the morning we dealt with that matter. So let us take a look onto the outcome. The Constitutional Court dismissed the application by Mwonzora and his team, and they actually said that they have no jurisdiction over this matter. The problem is that if you take a look onto this matter, this is a constitutional issue. This is an issue where the Constitution gives a directive. And as I mentioned earlier in the morning, I said without a referendum, elections in Zimbabwe cannot be delayed, cannot be stopped. A few individuals cannot decide to stop elections to suit their own needs. It can't. That will create a constitutional crisis, that will create a constitutional vacuum, which will lead to a chaos in the nation of Zimbabwe. And this is the correct view made by the court, even though they didn't give a specific order to say they cannot change a constitutional requirement without going to referendum. It will need to go through referendum, which is not proper, because even if we are to prepare for referendum, it will be overtaken by events who actually really need to be forced by the same constitution which is existing to have the elections, which means a referendum won't be of effect at this moment in time. So let us take a look kuti vamonzora vagamuchira sei this verdict yapiwa neconstitutional court.
I'll make a brief statement before the lawyers come in and address you. The Constitutional Court has dismissed our application, and their argument is that they don't have jurisdiction. In other words, they say they don't have the power to hear the case. In our respectful view, the Constitutional Court has made a political judgment. It is an unfair judgment, and we do not accept that judgment. But we have received legal advice, and the matter is not stopping here. We are going to continue with our struggle for democracy. We want free and fair elections in Zimbabwe, and there can never be free and fair elections where the delimitation report is so fundamentally flawed. This is a risk for disaster for our country. It makes our country a laughing stock. It makes our country's reputation as a constitutional democracy go up in the winds. So we, as the responsible Zimbabweans, we are going to continue prosecuting the people's struggle. We are fortified that we are right, and we are not going to give up. Thank you.
You spoke in the riddles. What exactly are you going to do?
Well, we are, as Lenin says in his book, Guerrilla Warfare, there is no prescribed method of struggle. Every method will depend on the circumstances that exist at that point in time. In 2 days' time, the nation will know what cause of action.
So Monzora says in 2 days' time we'll be able to know kuti ndezvipi zvavanenge vatora danho ravanenge vakwanisa kutora nderipi. So we need to hear what Professor Maduku said, because he was also representing during this case. He was also a legal counsel. So let us hear what Professor Maduku said.
As you know, I was in the team with Mahanda was leading us, and Trust Sengwai representing President Monzora and the NBC before the concourt. The Constitutional Court decided right at the outset not to go into the merits of the matter. They said we had not pleaded in a way that would accommodate them to hear the matter. That's how they put it. They indicated that we were seeking two things. in one application, and they thought we should have sought one thing. We obviously, as lawyers and legal practitioners, respect the decision of the Constitutional Court. We are bound by it, but we think that the court could have decided it differently. We, as you know, we are not the ones we take instructions from our clients. We will be waiting, but we've already advised our clients. I think that's what they indicated. What it means. It would mean that the Constitutional Court has only thrown them out of the Constitutional Court. That's what they've done. And this does not mean that they will not get back to the Constitutional Court. They might need to do it through another court and then deal with the declaration. Perhaps I need to explain to the journalists here that the debate in court centered on two things. First, the right that our clients were insisting on, the right to a free, fair election. That's the right that was at stake. That right is provided for in Section 67 of the Constitution. Then, on the other hand, there was the issue of whether or not the delimitation report is invalid, which is what our clients were. Our clients were founding their action on the basis of the invalidity of the delimitation report. Both issues were not decided today. There is no decision of the court which says that the right was not infringed. That has not been decided. There is no decision of the court which says that the delimitation report is valid. That has not been decided. What has been decided is the technical, what we were supposed to write. So it's a matter that has been decided purely, wholly, and exclusively on technical.
So how can you jump that hurdle?
That's what I've said, that we will jump it. Obviously, we've seen what the court here wants. And that's what the court is saying. One of the issues coming out was that they thought the High Court should first issue a declaration on the validity of the delimitation report. Now, our clients are very, very clear that they would want the delimitation report attended to by a court and a declaration of invalidity made. And for that reason, they then have to go to the High Court.
So this is the method which is now trying to be used by Team Monzora. They now want to invalidate the new delimitation report which is there, and I don't believe that they win this case in the High Court. We are in May already, and we're expecting elections very soon, anytime soon. I don't believe that this matter will be a very simple matter, and even if they are to have the delimitation report stopped by the High Court, the High Court will not be able to stop the elections, because these elections are a constitutional process, which means no court is able to stop this constitutional process without the involvement of the parliament, without the involvement of a referendum, which means that whatever way they may try to win this case, they won't be able to stop the upcoming 2023 elections. However, there are issues here. Issue number one is that the main issue is not to stop elections per se. The main issue is to stop the elections using the delimitation report, because they believe that this delimitation report was influenced elsewhere. That is the reason why you saw the other commissioners coming out issuing a letter or issuing a statement disowning the delimitation. That is going to be the basis of the argument in the High Court. So you would see that their plan is to try and stop the delimitation report, such that they will maintain whatever which is there, and they neutralize the other faction within ZANU-PF, which is perceived to be now controlling some areas. And if you take a look onto the number of the way the wards are now structured in some rural areas, you will see that they've given an advantage to both the opposition and the G40 elements to actually maneuver through. So that is the issue which they are now trying to avoid. So these are just factional fights within the ZANU-PF party, but somebody else is being used to fight those fights. So it's a very, very, very tough situation for Mr. Mwonzora, a very difficult situation for him, which I do not see him sail through. I don't see Mr. Monzora politically winning this battle, because you see that even if the High Court is to stop the delimitation, there will be another challenge, which will say we cannot use the 2007 delimitation report. That challenge will be brought in, and honestly speaking, the High Court will be left with no choice than to actually accept this recent delimitation report, even if it does have its own errors and problems and its own flaws. It's a better version than the 2007 one, because that one is outdated and it does not comprehend with the situation at the ground right now, as compared to the one which we now have. So you would see that either way, I don't believe that Mr. Monzora is going to win the arguments in court, in any court of law, and stop the elections and probably stop the delimitation. Remember that a lot of money was channeled for this delimitation report to happen, which means it can't be redone at this moment in time. We can't use waste resources redoing the delimitation report, which just need a few touch-ups such that it fits to be a credible delimitation report. So you see that all these things, they can actually be dealt with soon before the election. Number one, you have to understand that proclamation is going to be done up to the 31st of May. Proclamation should be done. When proclamation is done, you see nomination process coming in. And by that time, the High Court won't be able to have a fast-track this issue. So if we are to have these two processes coming, it means Zimbabwe Electoral Commission has started using money and is already prepared for the upcoming elections. And who will dare stop that process? Because once the president proclaims the elections, what will happen is that Parliament itself is dissolved. When Parliament is dissolved, it means people no longer have representatives, and it won't be a nice thing for us to wait for the census report to come, to wait for all these processes, delimitation report to be redone, while we don't have councillors, while we don't have MPs. So it will be a disaster. Honestly speaking, it will be a disaster. The country won't be able to make proper laws, because vanenge vasara necabinet chete ndo inenge ichiri yakangobata mamatomo ayo, ministers only, but all other people vanenge vasina pavakabatirira. But remember that the MPs, the ministers we have, the majority of the ministers we have, they are ministers because they are members of Parliament. So if Parliament is dissolved, vanosara vari members of Parliament api, because they only have to be ministers up until the expiry of their term. So the expiry of the term is expiring on 26 August, which means this government in Iripo, the ministers won't be able to pass through 26 August to the beginning of another chapter. Saka, you see that no matter the circumstances, this case will always fall away. This case will not proceed, and they won't be able to win this case. So this is my view, Team Zimbabwe. I've tried to briefly give you my own legal views and also political views to say what is really going on. So lastly, the thing I want to mention is the battle is now between the ZANU-PF people, the ZANU-PF factions. Kune faction rene military backing, kune faction with a perceived CIO backing. Those are the two issues. But the faction with the military backing, no faction in the Judicial Service Commission, which means my judges, they've gone to the faction, Vasarane state security only, the state apparatus only, which means the leadership here, ZEC itself, compromised at this moment, because tine military element, tine judiciary element, they survive on the other side. And on the other side, tasarane the only perceived team irikuyazobatsira or irikuyazorana these 2023 elections, which means Team Zimbabwe, this is the fertile ground for change. whatever way you might think of, this is the fatal ground for change. That is the reason why other quarters are trying to avoid elections at all costs. But the fear from the other faction are that the fears are that if the other faction is to win, they won't last because which means they will be purging and other people will be removed from power, and that will be a disaster. So everybody arungoti dai taruza tese hapasina ngatingoiva neshanduko muZimbabwe. That is the reason why tiri kuti ngatifambei nanero guys, let us support President Nelson Chamisa. A statement was issued yesterday and Advocate Fadzai Mahere he had a clear vision of what was going to happen because she's a legal expert as well. She's an advocate, which means she knows the Kuti constitutional. She is also a former constitutional law lecturer, which means she understands very well this law we are talking about. So this is it. Let us meet in other episodes as well as other broadcasts. We'll see kuti zvinenge zvabuda sei since vari kuti varuda kuita appeal. Varuda kuenda through the High Court. We will see if they take that decision, if they take that route, are they going to succeed? We do not know.